Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley and we're going to be playing Shogun II Total War. This is going to be a replay of a multiplayer battle I hopped into online, obviously. So, no real faction to go off of in Shogun II, but we are playing with just 4 traditional armies. So, let's go ahead and actually put this on slow motion so I can show you my build. Basically what I have here is going to be 2 Bo Ashigaru, followed up by 2 Naginata Samurai, and then a Yari Ashigaru here, and then a Katana hero in the back, so you can see they have some range, and then some meaty units to hold back, mostly spears, and then a hero here to tango with whatever swordsman would come their way. And then I have some more reserve Katana Samurai and warrior monks, and then I have some more Katana Cav back here, Yari cavalry, and then some more hidden match-like Ashigaru, sorry. Whew, it's been a while since I played Shogun. But anyways, they're going to be moving up here, and they're going to allow me to flank on this side. Anyways, I do have some light cavalry moving up here, and then I have 2 bow cav. These guys are heavily upgraded, level 5 I believe. So they have a lot of points put into reload and damage and all sorts of stuff like that. So they're very useful for my purposes. They can charge in and run away very quickly, unleash volleys, and they rack up a tremendous number of kills over the course of a battle. Here's my opponent here is moving forward with mounted samurai. Then he has this big line that's essentially just no dachi in the front, followed up by Yari samurai. So they're pretty good on armor, and they're pretty devastating on the charge. And then he does over here have these katana samurai who have been pretty, yeah, those guys are super veteran. He's put a lot of stats into defense for those guys. And then over here he's holding this down with matchlock samurai. And then he does have some marathon monks in the back. So he's mostly got an infantry corps that's meant to deliver a massive strike and then follow it up with good stamina and armor. Here he's decided to just all out charge with his mounted samurai. I was able to get a couple volleys off with my bow cav there into his men. So you'll see those hitting some of his horses as they're moving in. These guys are getting their own shots off against my guys. It looks like he's taken out 1 or 2. But my Naginata Samurai are going to be moving up here, and they're going to be countercharging him. So these Naginata have a lot of armor, so I will be losing, I think, 1 man in that group and then another one here. However, I did swing around with some more Yari Cav in the back, so I'm going to be able to crack his 2 forces right there. A bit of a waste on his part. Over on this side of the battlefield, we have Naginata warrior monks here, and then a pretty big core of just infantry, mixture of Yari, Katana, and warrior monks. So he doesn't have much of a skirmishing component right here, and it's mostly hidden in those cavalry troops, and he has more here, so I'm a little worried for my ally. And his opponent is going to be forming up in long lines, and he does have the range advantage with these warrior monks. You can see him. This is probably going to be very deadly for us because he does have those matchlock warrior monks who can strike at a distance, especially at these troops who have a lot of cost sunk into them. If he gets a good volley with these troops, they'll be able to tear them apart, but that'll be up for contention. We'll see. Anyways, on this side I was able to break his charge right here. It caught me a bit unawares. I didn't expect him to throw away those 2 cavalry, but I dealt with it pretty well. You can see the Naginata Samurai here only lost 1 man, and same with this guy. So I only lost 2 men. I think I may have lost, okay, Yari Ashigaru lost 7. My bows actually got clipped a bit, so it was a decent strike, but I don't think overall worth it. Anyways, I'm going to keep moving up with my bow cav in through the forest, trying to pick off at his men. I know he doesn't have much range. Same with positioning some other light cav here, potentially to strike at his forces here. Let's put this on play. So my plan is basically to hold these 2 cavalry units in reserve until the final moment when I feel like I've drawn the enemy in, and then these match-like Ashigaru, I was waiting for my opponent to get pulled into the center. I was hoping to instigate a fight with my bow cav, retreat, and keep kiting and falling back, and then I would land a strike with these guys, sort of pop them out in the woods and just launch an attack on the flank. But you'll see me moving them up here. I decided that they're going to be needed actually on this position, and I was going to put an ambush right there. On this side of the battle, we're having a bit of a standoff. He does have his bow warrior monks that are targeting these matchlock samurai. Now it's going to take them a while to do damage to them, but at least it's good. You know, he's at least trying to take out some of these ranged units, the ones that could really heavily damage his cavalry, but they are getting some bow cav returning fire. Over here, like I said, I'm just trying to play with my guys. You can see me sort of dancing around with the range options and just picking off a couple men here and there. These bow cav reload extremely quickly. You saw them already get off 1 volley, and look at that, 2 volleys, and he's already lost 13 men. So that's going to prompt his entire army to charge forward. That's fine. I have my guys staggered in a couple lines, so I'm going to have my bowmen here, and I'm going to pull one of them back, allow the other one to get a volley, partial volley at least, and just keep falling back. I have a lot of ground to fall back on, and then I'm going to go ahead and deploy my matchlocks here. However, the terrain was not to my advantage. I was hoping I'd have a better sightline than that. You can see from this perspective it might appear like I did have sightlines, but when you zoom in I don't, so that's going to be actually a pretty big problem for me. I did get a lot of cav behind his back, so that's going to be good. And in this position I left my Katana hero in the woods. I figured he could deal with these opponents here, just because they've been damaged to such an extent. And then in the center, let's put this on slow motion, that I'm going to continue to fall back. I've got my cores on various flanks. Over here the enemy is kind of pushing forward. What he's done is Matchlock Samurai backed up by Naginata attendants. That's something you'll see a lot of players online do, just because the Naginata attendants are very cheap, but they're good at holding off these cavalry charges and soaking an expensive unit like this, pulling them in. So it's a counter charge here, and it's probably going to get reinforced. Anyways, let's watch the push through here. He's got these two forces pulling into the forest right through here. I have my his Nodachi are engaged with my Katana hero right here, so it looks like the match will be kind of evenly fought, and I'm trying to have suppressing fire with my bow cav and some Katana cav I pulled over here, so I'm going to try and wear these guys out, hold them back with just one hero unit, while the remainder of his forces here are going to get sort of picked off by my archers and matchlocks that I'm going to start positioning. Over back here, I'm making a charge on his Yari cav, however he is watching that, so I'm going to pull my light cav through this gap here and either target this position here, or if his general gets too exposed, as you can see me doing here, I can go ahead and charge his general. Anyways, my bow cav is continuing to get shots on. They have some good range. And over here, he's positioned these guys, these Yari Samurai, on the defensive to try and ward me off. And it makes for a good place for me to shoot, however he is partially in the woods, and these Yari Samurai have good armor, so I won't be doing too much. And it looks like I decided to actually swing over here and take out these Matchlock Samurai who are providing a lot of cover fire. You can see how these Naginata attendants really help clean up this fight. And my ally is losing some of his best cavalry on that flank, so we'll have to wait and see how this goes. Over on this position, he's charging forward with his Katana Samurai. I'm going to countercharge with my Katanas, but you can see just the stat discrepancy. He's definitely going to tear into my guys, so my opponent definitely went for more of a strongly built force. Anyways, I'm going to be countercharging with my Yari Kev into this glob of units. His Yari Samurai are going to be repositioning. I was hoping it would be a little more devastating than this. I wanted to rescue my Katana heroes who were starting to waver. They're down to 12, 11 men, so I wanted to help break up that fight and just tie this down a little bit more, allow my matchlocks to move up. Over here, I'm hoping to crush his guys, but just their overwhelming stats is doing a lot to chip away at my units. You can see them already starting to crash and burn. I did pop some bonsai on my guys as I charged them in, however, it's not really going to do much when faced against his guys who are just such high level. But I do have these Naginata Samurai who are very good at holding positions, so they're here, and then my archers continuing to do more damage, more of them positioned here, so I'm just hoping that over time I can whittle these elite forces, and he's outright pretty much avoiding my matchlock, so I'm going to have to reform those guys here. And my Bo Ashigaru are going to continue to put on the fire. He's collapsing on my ranks here. Let's watch this fight. My own cavalry are helping to swing this fight here, and the engagement is going to begin, but not quite yet. Over in the forest, he's committed the rest of this flank, so my hero unit is going to get absolutely massacred, but he held up so many forces, I think it was worth it, and the continual pressure of my bow cav is going to do a lot of damage. I'm going to pull my Katana cavalry over through here, and my Yari Ashigaru pike wall is going to try and cordon these guys off as I push through here, and I'm going to try and force his guys back. You can see how he's chasing off my general, and he's really trying to avoid this position here. So my opponent's doing a good job. I think he's concentrating forces where he has to knock out my guys. So these Naginata warrior monks should be able to hold out pretty well, given their veterancy, but because my opponent decided to just put so many guys into this fight, his general's here to buff up his men, you can see, it's going to be enough to just crack my veterans. So he's specifically targeting my veteran troops and making sure they crack outright, and then he's out just basically ignoring my forces like this that could that are essentially built to deal with his type of units. And again, the terrain is working against my my forces here because they can't get some shots off. Over on this side, the battle is going to commence, but like I was telling you, these Matchlock Warrior Monks in the front are just going to tear into these units, and he's specifically targeting the units that he wants. So these Katana Samurai he knows are more important to pick off, and look how much damage they're doing. And then he's going to countercharge this Yari Samurai with a Katana Samurai, and the Katana are going to just destroy them. They have so much more experience and just swords against these sorts of spears. The swords will win. That's going to be enough to hold them back. And it's, look at that, the Katana Samurai has already been basically routed. So this army is quickly going to collapse, especially with the charge of more troops and more of these matchlocks. My ally really has no counter to this. He should be sweeping around with his cavalry, which he is, but he really needs to send some all the way in the back and disrupt those forces. Meanwhile, my cavalry is going to be coming back to my side of the battlefield, and my general is going to be poking and prodding his forces, trying to keep them occupied. Again, on this side of the woods, my guys were just not firing because of the angle, and they only fired at the last minute. So I wasn't really microing them. I thought they were getting shots off, but and I basically just thought I was missing the volleys, but basically they were just not getting shots off. And so when they were positioned here, they just got outright charged. So I'm going to have to reform this entire front. At the same time, I do have my 2 archer units and my 2 bow cav kind of darting in and out, trying to put on pressure to his guys here. My Nagano Samurai are going to be holding back this entire front, and I charge in my Katana cavalry into his Nodachi here. Usually these guys get a good amount of kills, but they're not really veteran. And he popped a bonsai, and he does have Yari Samurai. So the Yari Samurai built into this army are very good. They're pretty heavily armored and stable troops that can run around and reinforce, and they're a good quick patch to cavalry strikes like this. If he can get his forces in, then that'll be enough to neutralize my cav. So a very good build for my opponent. However, I do still have some Katana cav and bow cav, and his big blob of men here is going to be charging. I'm reforming my matchlock Ashigaru, hoping to get a last volley off before I countercharge with my own Naginata. And I have my Yari Ashigaru in pike wall just to make sure they hold back. Over in this position, it's a big mess. My Nagano Samurai are holding pretty well, and then I have my bow cav raining in the additional fire. And I'm reforming my my bow Ashigaru to put in more shots here, countercharging with my cav to try and hold back his men. But again, the steadfastness of the Yari Samurai is going to be enough to sort of be my own doing. And these Matchlock Ashigaru ended up not firing at the right time. I was pretty pissed about that. So at least they're getting some shots off, but I will, I think, try and reform them to help on this flank. But overall, I'm just not getting the best exchanges, and my cav advantage is being neutralized. So I can only basically try and hold him back while my superior range units start to do more damage. And I'm going to have to diversify sort of their targets in order to try and stem just the onslaught of his heavily upgraded men. We can go ahead and see what's going on here. This charge that my ally had on this flank basically collapsed. It's a little hard to see what's going on white on white, but my ally was essentially killed because of the matchlock strikes and then the heavily veteran Katana Samurai. And then the 2 cavalry basically stomped each other and were eliminated, both kind of cancel each other out. In the center, my ally lost all his men. It looks like he committed them to this fight, but they're getting routed. And that kind of leaves this entire force here to deal with my ally, who basically is going to be forced into an all-out charge into this front, and that's not going to be very good. Now we do have a sort of an attack on the side. This is our leftovers coming in and trying to push them back, but Yari Samurai, our ally, basically just has no chance here, just given the veterancy discrepancy. Our enemies both went for high veterancy units, which I usually don't like to do. I tend to like more numbers and trying to use units more cost effectively, holding operations and all that, using my skirmishers and whatnot. But in this case, our opponents are just using that strategy to maximum effectiveness, and they just don't seem to be cracking. However, my bow cav are going to be probably the best. Let's go ahead and press play. We might as well just watch this. Again, my bow cav just stationed here, getting off volleys, and I'm actually charging forward with my general, just trying to halt his units, allowing my volleys and volleys of arrows to pick these guys off. They're still confident, still holding together. But slowly but surely, I'm whittling their numbers. You can see some of them. Once the general effect is going to wear off, I may be able to crack them. So that's what I'm counting on. And I still have some Naginata Samurai here who can hold back some of his charges. So I'm basically just protecting my skirmishers. Bokav still alive, still charging in, still doing tremendous amounts of damage, and his general is going to be a problem for me. And especially on this front, if we want to go ahead and watch that. As I was saying, my ally basically lost this flank, evened up, but then lost this flank, it seems. And then in the center, he just lost. So all the remaining troops here are going to be opponents, so they're going to be bearing down on me. So the clock is ticking. I essentially only have my cavalry left, Now if this was the entirety of the battle, I think I could win, mostly because my Bokev have a lot of ammo, and I do still have some Yari Ashigaru here who have reformed. They're good when facing the opponent outright, and I still have some Naginata Samurai, so I can do all I want. You can see here, forcing these guys to run about. It's not a very noble tactic, but it's one that I'm forced to employ given the very aggressive tactics that my opponent did. So you can see here the fight is evening up on my side. The continuous volleys, just picking off more and more of his men. It's only a matter of time before these guys are utterly eliminated. So he can chase me all he wants, he's just never going to catch up to me. And I have enough men that I can reform and fall back to. At this point, the other army, however, is going to come into the scene, and they're going to send some cavalry to try and deal with my own cavalry, which is probably the best thing he should do. Naginata Samurai still survive. They're getting countercharged by his own troops. And again, as I always say he tries to do, he completely surrounds my remaining forces and just does his best to counter them with tremendous numbers of troops. Over here he's doing the smart thing and not charging into my spear wall. Probably a good move, and he's just going to bide his time, pick away at my forces. So we're both kind of doing the same strategy. He is doing it on foot to rather efficient success, and I'm doing the sort of picking off strategy with my cavalry. He's going to use his general to try and countercharge me, and that's a good move. However, I'm going to be throwing in some of my own spearmen, trying to take out his general, and I did charge in to his own Yari Samurai. I was hoping to collapse on them and crush them, and it looks like it's working. That Yari Samurai is collapsing, so is this one, so it looks like the odds are turning in my favor a bit. And however, as more of them arrive, that's going to be sort of turning my frown upside down, I guess you could say, especially with these reinforcements. They're going to force me to pull out at this point, and I lost almost all of my infantry forces. My Bokev were relatively unscathed, so I was able to kill 2 of his units and his general. That's going to be great for me. However, look at this. The general from the opponent is now going to be coming in, and he's going to be targeting my own general. So my general is going to stand here. I think I tell him to charge in. Oh, I guess I missed that charge, so that's going to be very unfortunate for me. However, my Bokev are here to even up this fight. So yep, if I had gotten that counter charge against him or run out of there, I probably could have survived that charge. But good strike from my opponent. I was probably microing somewhere else when that happened. Anyways, I'm continuing to bait my opponents. You can just see here the field is littered with the dead. And my opponent is starting to get a bit greedy. He's going to charge after me. My Bokev, he's tired of these guys and all the damage they've done, so he's going to chase them. And my guys are just more than happy to do this. Now, I don't have Parthian shot, but what I am doing is I'm just drawing them away. The Naginata attendants decide to give up, and look at this. This is going to be 56 against 10. So the second I find that we've, led these guys far enough away, I countercharge into them, and I'm going to make quick work of his general. However, all that leaves me with is 2 of these archer units here, and my own Bokev unit here, and the loss of my general is going to be pretty big blow to my morale. But over here, like I was telling you, I'm going to make quick work of his general. He's down to 4, should be down to, yep, there you go. Killed all of them, and my guys only lost about 9 or 10 men, so they're going to be trying to rejoin the fight. His Yari Samurai is going to be stretched out, so that's going to allow me to finally finish off these guys. And this is the last, essentially, group of these forces on this side of the battle. Let's go ahead and minimize this. However, they're still honorably engaging in the fight. I was just amazed by the stats of these this entire army, but I'm going to be able to collapse them with that rear cavalry strike. Yeah, there you go. They're starting to rout. However, there's more and more and more of these guys pouring in, so my Bokev are going to have to pull on out of here, and it's kind of a losing battle at this point. It's obvious that I'm going to be biting the dust just with all the reinforcements coming in, but I'm going to try and make it a relatively cost-effective final battle. So these guys both charging in different directions, both firing arrows in different directions. And I sacrificed one of my archer units to try and allow the last one to pull out. And this is going to be a last stand for me. He's pressing in with this force here, and now finally they've got their only ranged unit, these Matchlock Warrior Monks moving in. Those are going to be the bane of my existence right now. I can't tango with those guys unless I'm behind a hill, so they're going to be forming up and trying to get some shots off on my men. There it goes. The remainder of my troops continuing to get some shots on his men. Every single charge I do picks off 2-3 of them. Another unit. More of them are dealt damage. So, given enough time, I think I could kite, bait, and destroy these guys. But it's over for me. Just gonna try, and I think land a rear strike on these guys. I should have probably just stood point blank and shot them with arrows, but more guys were in the back. So I'm gonna go ahead and just outright charge with my bow cav. I'm able to kill a couple of them. But yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. I hope you guys enjoy the variety of games I'm trying to bring you. Let me know what games you'd like to see in the future. I did try and get some Medieval 2 games going, but it seems like there aren't that many people really playing Medieval 2, so I didn't get too much out of that. I had a really hard time getting a lobby, so hopefully in the future I'll be able to get one. Maybe I'll have to organize it with you all. But yeah, that's going to be it for this battle, and hope you enjoyed. Let's try and see if we can look at some of the stats at the end of this battle. I just want to take a look and see how my cavalry did, especially my bow cav. That's something I recommend you guys do if you're still playing Shogun II, if you're trying to get good at it. I definitely recommend bringing those bow cav. So let's look at the unit statistics right there. Also the overall stats, I got a lot of the kills. However, myself, I did get a lot of losses. Bow cav, yeah, 104. And 67, so pretty well overall. However, let's see. Yeah, my least cost effective troops may have been my archers, so overall I didn't do that well, but let's look at the opponents. Yeah, his heavily upgraded guy, all of these guys just raking in the kills. 202, 133, 151, so I think it's definitely worth exploring these heavy builds. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll bring you some more Shogun II battles. I have a couple more in my pocket, so see you guys next time. Peace out.